Okay. Oh, now
we're streaming live.
It says we're recording live, but on the background it says it's setting up. So who knows?
Well, it
so
says
maybe we are recording.
It says we are now live. So hi everyone.
Yeah, hi everyone. Well, we're not sure if we're recording live, but if we are, this is incredible. So I'm super excited because I'm here with Maxine King of Fresh Minds, and we're going to be talking everything women, money, and business. And as you can tell, this is our first time experimenting with Zoom and Facebook Live. And hey, who knows if it's working or not? But if you're there and it is, let us know, because we would love to know if this is working. Oh, and I think it is, Maxine, because now I'm on my Facebook page and it looks like we might be there.
Fabulous.
So for everyone who's watching us or here now, who's brave enough to even venture into it, Maxine and I have known each other for a number of years. We both studied horse-assisted education together, and we were just talking recently while I was doing some research into money mindset and women's perceptions around money, and we thought this would just be a great topic for us to have and share on the Facebook Live. So we've got loads of wisdom, we've got loads of our own opinions on it. We'd love to hear yours, so put anything in the chat that you'd like to talk about, and we'll happy to share. So Maxine, why don't you just kick off, introduce yourself to people, and tell them a little bit about some of your initial thoughts on money.
Okay, so I'm Maxine King. My company is Fresh Mindset Limited, and I have gone down various different routes, literally loads, and come to this place where there is a massive realization that money is energy. It is just energy. And I think we've all got ourselves a little bit wrapped up and embroiled in what we believe money to be. And if we strip it right back and take it to the part where this is just energy, and what we have to do is do the inner work to be able to have a better relationship around money, that instead of, so my background is I've run many businesses. I've been in property, I've had my own animal feed business, I've done let me just think of brain education and brain gymnastics for the elderly. So I really have got quite a diverse learning ability, if you like, and I've been involved in, I've been self-employed, I don't know how long, for a very, very long time. And it came to me that I would get to a certain point, I'd hit a glass ceiling, and I would find it almost impenetrable to get through. And so I would use all my energy and all my skills, using all the strategies and capabilities. And it's not through any of those things that I was lacking, that I was finding that I was getting to a certain point. It felt like I was pushing this boulder up a hill. And then it would just, as soon as it got to the point where momentum could start building up and it would take itself to the next level, it was coming back over me and flattening me again. So I'd have to pick myself up, brush myself down and carry on. Is that familiar with you, Julia? Does that resonate?
Yeah, the money ceiling. And of course, you know, I was fortunate. I was in a corporate job for a long time. And of course, you know, when you're getting paid a salary, you're exchanging, as I didn't understand then, time for money. And oh God, Maxine, you're going to freak at this when I say this. So I used to say in the corporate world, I'm being paid too much. What was I thinking?
Really?
And you know, I didn't know anything about money and money mindset. And of course, now I realize that, you know, what I was earning in the corporate world was way above my money ceiling, but it was kind of being forced on me, because that's what happens. You know, you're on a salary. And of course, that's the challenge I've had in my own business, because my money ceiling is much lower than what my corporate salary was. And I've been trying to bust through the money mindset that I need to do to get to that level of income that I really want, so I can make the impact that I want to have in the world. And I think it's really fascinating, the whole idea of this money ceiling. And I know you've studied with John Assaraf, and so have I. And, you know, John describes it a bit like a thermostat, doesn't he? And say it's fixed at £30,000, for example. Let's just take that as a number. it's just amazing that the minute you get over that, all these things happen. You know, your refrigerator breaks down, your car breaks down, the universe does something to bring you back into parity, to back to 30.
But I just have to say this, Julia, that the wonderful, wonderful thing is you're absolutely spot on, spot on. But the wonderful thing is, once you break through that glass ceiling, that magic that was holding you stuck and all those troubles and tribulations that were keeping you to your thermostatic setting, so when you break through that glass ceiling, suddenly that magic happens in the opposite effect. So all those things that were going wrong and you were banging your head against brick wall and why is this happening, suddenly it shifts and it's like, oh my goodness, opportunities present themselves, you start meeting people, and money comes from the most extraordinary sources that you couldn't possibly imagine when you get. And I'm sitting here hearing myself, and I know to some people it must be, oh, don't be so ridiculous. It's true. It's so true. The energy around money, when you can master the relationship that you have around money, you experience you just experience a completely different thing, completely different.
And I think it's so interesting there, a couple of things, you know, the relationship about money, because again, that was really pivotal for me in understanding that you have a relationship with money and you need to treat it like your best friend. You know, why would money want to hang out with you if you don't treat it with respect and you don't trust it? And I remember one of the early exercises I was given was, you know, go and pull out your wallet. And what does your wallet look like? And is it all full of receipts and stuffed and messy and, you know, maybe a bit frayed around the edges? And you look at it and you're like, yeah. And you're like, well, that's a bit like hanging out in a dirty house, right? You know, why would you want to hang out in a place like that? And this was just transformational for me, you know, going out, buying a lovely new wallet in my branded colors and keeping it nice and pristine. And it's really simple things like this. So some of this stuff, guys, that we're talking about is not, it's not expensive to do. It's things you can normally do in your day-to-day life. It's just we haven't thought about it. And we haven't thought about money being our best friend, because of course, I don't know if you, Maxine, were brought up with this, but you know, kind of some of the beliefs that we've got, you know, money makes you greedy, you know, money's only for rich people. We've got all these imbued limiting beliefs about money that mean that often we don't want to make it our best friend, or we think if we do make it our best friend, that there's something wrong with that.
And I just want to say, money is energy. Let's energize the money. If you're going to energize it with lack and scarcity, guess what? It's going to reflect back as lack and scarcity. But if you're going to energize it with abundance and wealth and joy, in fact, joy, okay, look, vibrational frequencies. I've actually got a vibrational frequency chart on my, have you ever seen one, Julia? Have you seen the vibration?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Charts? Well, I've got one on my website, and if anybody wants to go and have a look, it's freshmindset.co.uk, and it's under the refresh page. If you go down, and that gives you a list of all the vibrational frequencies, joy being at the top. I can't remember, I think it's 500, and I can't remember the bottom one. It's anger. Shame. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, shame is at the bottom. And what happens is when we energize the money with shame, so if we're shameful about having money, we're energizing it at a much lower vibrational frequency. And when we're emitting that vibrational frequency through our emotions, through the things that we're saying, through the things that we're thinking, that we're tuning into that same vibrational frequency, which is going to mean that it's going to affect the relationship. Whereas if we can tune in from joy, money loves joy. So tuning in from that vibrational frequency, you're going to bring it in. Now, what was I going to say? But we get it ass about face, if you don't mind me saying it. What we put the cart before the horse, which is we think, when I've done this, I will buy this, or I will be happy, or I will be joyful. No, the inner work is starting from inside and becoming that emotional frequency, that vibrational frequency first. You have to become it, and then you can attract it. Now, the difficult thing is, even with this knowledge, even armed with this knowledge, there is a process that you have to go through, don't you, Julia? It's not
Yeah.
just, you have to go through a process to actually, so knowledge is only knowledge until you actually apply it. And you need people who, well, you can go off and do it yourself and try time and time and time again, or you can find people who've already gone through the process and who will guide you through. Am I right in saying that, Julia?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think the whole thing about, I think it's always helpful, I think, to go back to our roots about where the whole concept of money comes from. Because if we just think about it, ladies, because I know most of you listening here will be ladies, money is just like Maxine said, it's an energy. You're exchanging it for value. So when you provide something of value to somebody, they pay you with what currently is money. In the old days, it might have been sheep or pigs or, gold bullion, or, maybe once upon a time, people were trading their wives and their kids for, this type of thing. So
True.
it is just a trading entity. But it's become so important in its own right because it's what we need to trade everything right now in the way that society is handled. And of course, what we're seeing now, of course, physical money, I don't know about many of you, but certainly during COVID, people don't want physical money anymore. They just want electronic money, which I think is making it even more difficult, don't you think, Maxine, to form that relationship with money? Because now it's become like virtual. You've just got a card, you don't even see it. You don't really know what's gone out your account. You look at a statement. So I think people are becoming even more disconnected from money because we're just not even handling it. Yeah. And I think that can be the crux of some of the problems as well around this right now, and something as a challenge I see going forward for people.
I absolutely agree with you. It's so what I see in life is that we've got we're excellent at living in an external world, in focusing outside of ourselves, which actually brings a disconnection with what's actually got our reality. So it's about, and like you say, the money now being virtual puts another disconnection with a bigger separation to the reality of it all. And it's I think it's really important to get back. Look, even when we talk about money, really, it's not just about the pounds, shillings and pence. It's about the wealth that comes with it, which is a completely different thing. Money is just a form of, it's just a tangible thing that we can enable us to do the things that we want to do. Wealth comes from living a life of, well, freedom. The freedom is being able to choose to make the decisions that you want to make your life better, and money helps with that. So again, it's about getting realizing that it is energy. It's almost shifting the importance about money. It's this understanding of what we perceive money to be, and take it to a different dimension, understand it at a different level, and then being able to yeah.
And of course, as you and I both know, a lot of these our understanding and our perceptions of money are also coming from the beliefs that we've been fed, and all of these beliefs are instilled in us prior to the age of 7, when our subconscious mind doesn't have the ability to choose what's going to go in. So we just get this programming put in. And I like to think about your mind is a bit like a computer, and we've all been
programmed,
dare I say, programmed with kind of faulty programming about money. And it's not surprising, because they're beliefs that have come back from our parents' generation, generations before, and things have just changed so much since then. And so it's being aware of what those beliefs are and realizing they're not true. And I think this is the biggest challenge, I think, for people, is that realizing that there's no such thing as reality. and I know that's a really scary thing for me to say to people, there's no such thing as reality. But Maxine, your perception of money is different from mine. That will be different from some of our listeners. Everyone's got a different view on this. And this is why we say there's no such thing as reality, because all of us are seeing something and experiencing something different based on the programming that we've got inside of us. So as we know, the great thing is we can change this programming. It's all about rewiring the neural pathways in your brain around it. It's possible to do, but like anything, it's simple, but it's not easy. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of discipline to do. But what I think I'd really like to explore, Maxine, a bit is we know that it can be changed. We know it's going to be hard, but I'd really love to delve into the conversation about giving women permission to make this money in the first place and to have it, because so many women aren't believing that they're worthy of even receiving the money. They don't think the goods and services they're putting out in business are worth the money back. So I think that would be a really interesting topic to explore. What do you think?
Oh my God, I certainly do. I certainly do, yeah. I love what you just said there about self-worth, because that's my cat. So sorry, my cat, I can't. Self-worth. We talk about net worth being the self-worth. So that is the gauge that the dial that we set our value to is our self-worth. So before you can do anything, you have got to start working on your self-worth, because if your self-worth is, say, on the vibrational frequency right down low, it doesn't matter what you do energetically, it's not going to allow you to break through that glass ceiling. So the most important thing, yeah, is starting with self-worth and understanding your value. And the way to do that, I would say, is getting people to connect with yourself. That's the first point of call. And the work with the horses is perfect for getting you to connect to this is right. So it's brain heart coherent. So okay, it's about aligning yourself so that you can take your whole self forward into what you want, to the amount of money you want. And the amount of money that you want is only going to be in proportion to this kind of life that you want. And your life is going to be different to my life. You know, our expectancy is going to be different. But I can tell you that the universe wants us to have. It's our right to have. Mm-hmm. And we're doing ourselves a disservice when we pinch ourselves short, when we don't realize our full potential, when we don't shine as brightly as we could. Because when we're pinching ourselves off, we contract our energy contracts. And when we are growing and at our fullest potential, and you can see it in people's now, you've frozen, Julia. I don't know if you can hear me. I reckon what's happened is that Julia's electricity has gone down, because she was saying that earlier on it's all a bit tricky. But I'm going to carry on and see what happens, because she should come back. So it's about contraction with our energy, getting I'm saying contraction and expanding. Contraction, when we go small and we start feeling unworthy, our energy contracts. We become smaller. Same with money. It's the same with everything. And then when we start growing and feeling good and fulfilled and really pushing ourselves outside of our comfort zone, growing, we expand, our energy expands. So I suppose not only does our energy expand, our money can expand too. So I guess you need to ask yourself, where do you want to be with all of this? I'm hoping Junior's going to come back on board. and I can't see any questions, or I don't know if I'm talking to myself. I have absolutely no idea. So I'm just going to keep on going, because I have a feeling that I was sitting here earlier on and it was saying that it was live, but I didn't quite trust it. So what probably has happened is Julia has set this whole thing up. Her electricity has cut off, and I'm left it, and I can't, oh, I suppose I could end it. Well, I hope that there's been some really good information, because I really do think we've covered some brilliant topics. I might go, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to log off and I'm going to get back in contact with Julia. Stay tuned, because I think we'll both hop back on. So thank you for watching. I hope that you've really got some fantastic bits of information out of this, and I will catch you later. Oh, Julia, it looks as though Julia's back on. Julia, I've carried on talking. I don't know whether we've been live or not. I've just kept it going. And what I was talking about was our energy. I was just about to log off to see where you were, but
I had another power cut. I'm having the power cut. The universe is cutting my energy. How very apt at this time.
The great thing is I've been able to keep the energy flowing.
Awesome.
So what I've been talking about is the expansion of our energy and the contraction. So when we're growing and becoming the better version of ourselves, our energy field actually expands. We get bigger and bigger and bigger. But when we start pinching ourselves short and allowing, well, the more depressed and low we get, the energy just starts shrinking. And I was also saying, and that's related with money as well. So if you can see, you can start seeing yourself, the lower your energy becomes, the more that will affect the energy, the relationship that you're having with your money. And working with horses, one of the things that is said time and time again is that horses are a wonderful mirror. They reflect back to you. You know, I think what I love about horses, oh, they're just so amazing to be around, and it's so clear. It's so clear, the messages that they give. But you know, if everything in life is a mirror, and if you don't like what's happening in your outside world, it's all about going inside to make the changes, and then from there it starts having, the energy will shift from inside, start emitting out, and things will start changing. Things start changing around you, and miracles happen when we allow the universal energy to flow through. Some amazing things happen. Julia,
and I think yeah, what you were talking about just before I jumped off, I think was really important when you were talking about often we're not stepping up and being a big enough version of ourselves and releasing our potential. And as you know, I work a lot with universal laws like you do. And, you know, one of the universal laws is more life. The universe actually wants us to be expansive, abundant. You know, if you look to nature, nature is massively abundant. You know, nature doesn't worry about lack. It just assumes everything's going to happen. And that would be, you know, and law of attraction as well comes in here. And I know, you know, that has been given a bit of a rap over the years. But the fundamental principle is that like energy attracts like energy. So like Maxine says, if you've got low energy and you've got a low relationship with money, you're on a low vibration, that's kind of what you get back. So we are walking around a bit like big magnets, you know, and we are attracting to us what we put out. But our environment is absolutely just a reflection of what's going on internally. So ladies, you know, if you don't like what you're seeing outside, actually it becomes an inner job, and everything is an inner job here. And it really starts with controlling and influencing how your mind's thinking about things. Because like Maxine said, if you're thinking negatively about something, that's what you attract. And, you know, if we look at it from a brain science point of view, we have something called the reticular activation system in our brain, the RAS.
Google.
And
It's a
yeah,
Google bar.
it is. It's like the Google for your brain, isn't it, Maxine? And it's what you program into your RAS is what you find. So I'm sure some of you have all experienced this. I remember when I was in America, I had a hire car, and I took an orange Mustang because I just thought it was like the coolest thing ever.
And it was.
And I never saw one on the roads before. But the minute you've got it, and my brain was thinking orange Mustang, I saw loads of them on the roads. And this is what happens with your reticular activation system. You kind of program in it, and it goes out to look for what you're looking for. So, a new car, you go and get, the best new car that you want, and it's in your favorite color. And you're like, I never see any of these. And then you keep seeing them. But you can also program your reticular activation system to go, well, there's never any opportunities. I never get any clients. And so you programmed yourself to say there's no clients out there, and that's what happens too. So it's really important to get this excuse me, this alignment between your head, heart, and gut, because if you don't also get all of that aligned and it's off in any way, that's when things don't work for you. So a lot of my work nowadays, and this is what the horses are brilliant at, is sensing that congruence, head, heart, and gut between you. Because if it's not aligned and you're not congruent, then the horses don't believe you, don't come across as authentic, and they don't want to be with you. And actually, that's exactly the same with clients as well.
Absolutely. And this, you cannot fool a horse. A horse doesn't care whether you are Richard Branson or whether you are a cleaner. All it's interested in is the state that you are showing yourself up, which means the energy that you are emitting, the vibrational frequency that you're putting out. And if you try to be brave when actually inside you're really scared, you're being incongruent, and the horse will pick that up. So if you, well, I just think working with horses is wonderful. And I love that. I love energy. I just love the power of energy. And the Google bar pretty much is like a magic wand. It's like a magic wand. You just need to learn how to use it. So come to Hogwarts School.
Right. And I think it's so fascinating because when I worked in the corporate world a decade ago, we would have never spoken about energy. No. And, it would be very, very woo. And I think it's really interesting what we've seen happen really in the last decade is people have started to understand this. And I think it's because the neuroscience has become really compelling. We've really understood a lot more about how the brain works, about how energy works. And it's no longer something kind of out in the ether that people don't understand.
Or
we've got so much compelling evidence.
Scientific. And if anybody wants if to find out brilliant facts about all of this, there's Gaia. I don't know if you know this, Gaia, Gaia. It's on the internet, you can look it up, and they have the most phenomenal resources, and I would say they're at the cutting edge, the information that they have of scientists and their work around all of this. And I signed up for it. You can do 30 days free. Gaia, bit of advertising for you. I don't get anything for this. It is just an amazing resource. If you want to get proof of this scientifically, we are not talking woo-woo anymore. This is something that I would go and do some research on it, because it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Well, you can see how Julia and I are both lit up about this. I mean, it's really exciting. It's energizing, isn't it?
Well, it is. And I'm actually currently doing a program at the moment, Maxine, on the elite entrepreneurial mind. And I think this is really interesting too, because one of the things we've been exploring is how do elite people think versus let's call them everyday people. And it is, people that are really successful, and we only have to go back to the work of Napoleon Hill, back at the turn of the century as the start of this.
Wallace D. Wattle. Same. Yeah. There seems to be a group of people that had this amazing knowing
Mhm.
It was Einstein, you know, these
Mhm.
people, Planck, these people had just, um, they just knew something more was out there. And actually COVID-19, this pandemic, I think has brought people even more closer to the universal law, that there's something more out there. There is an energetic force out there. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it God, you can call it universal energy. It doesn't matter. There is an energy force, an energetic force out there, that when you align yourself to it, can work miracles in your life. Mm.
Yeah. So let's just go back to that whole topic of permission and giving women permission to earn more money, because you and I reconnected again over some research I was doing about helping women create a 7-figure impact, because I think we're all agreed that women are very caring, very nurturing, and actually want to make a difference in the world. I think women are the difference makers. I think we're going to see we've seen women being women leaders who have been very successful leading through COVID. Jacinda Ardern out in New Zealand, amongst others. So we've seen women trailblazing in this kind of regard. But also what I've seen over the last decade as I've been running my leadership consulting and executive coaching business is women who don't feel it's okay to make 7 figures or high six or whatever it is for you, doing their magic and their work in the world. They're
What
not
they're
feeling like they
passionate
should be
about. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. They shouldn't be rewarded for it. And I think one message I'd love people to take away from this is, you can make as much money as you might only need 50 grand to live on, 100 grand to live on, whatever the number is for you. But I would encourage you ladies to think bigger, because if you decide that you want to make £500,000 a year, you only need, 50, 100 to live on. Well, think about how much good you can do with all of that amazing money left. So, for me, we can make more impact in the world if we think bigger. We can get remunerated at a higher level, because then we can give that away. We can give it to charitable causes. We can create our own foundations. In my own mind, for my own business, I still want to really flesh out fully the Business Horsepower Foundation, which is going to be my charitable non-profit arm that enables people to come and have the experiences with the horses who don't have the money to invest in it. And in my view of the world, I've got corporate clients who are working with the horses. They're fueling some of the income for my business, and that then enables me to do the other piece. So I think that this is a very much a circular economy. I'm trying to create my own little circular economy and ecosystem, but I think it's the same for all of us in our business. The more good we can do in the world, the bigger impact we can have, and we can create a much bigger legacy, for whatever it is. And it might just be that your legacy is something local in your community. It might be something global. It's whatever it is for you. But each of us have got our own desire and purpose and legacy blueprint that's been embedded into us when we were born. The problem is most of us have become disconnected from it, and we've forgotten what it is.
Yes, I mean, there are some people that some clients that I have that come to me, and they aren't even, they are so disconnected with themselves. They don't even know what their passion is. They don't even know what and that breaks my heart when you see somebody just surviving, or just getting through. Life is so much more than that. It's so much more. And the amount of, there is another book, Free the Beagle. I can't remember. Have you read that? That's an NLP book. Free the Beagle. That is a beautiful book, and it's a I can't think of the word, when it's not a story, it's a parable. It's a parable, is that the right word?
Yeah.
Where it walks you through the different states of life, if you like, sort of being numb and unaware, and then going through some difficult points and how that feels, and reaching the next level, and then seeking out a little bit more, and then getting to the end. It's a book well worth reading, because I think there are a lot of people out there who are so disconnected that they don't even realize that there's so much more out there to have. It's a beautiful place. It really is a beautiful place. And if we can all get there and all enjoy it together, let's do it. You know, it's, yeah.
Yeah. And I think, you know, for me, I think it is interesting because I think the whole trigger of COVID has got people to slow down. And I think people have become more aware that there's stuff out there. I ran a blog, I ran a webinar not that long ago for International Coaching Week on the power of coaching in nature.
Nice.
You know, we do that with the horses all the time. But just, I think people are really beginning to appreciate how important nature is, because a lot of people were locked up, you know, couldn't even get outside. I was very fortunate. I live out here on a farm. I was outside all the time, but I know many people didn't have that luxury. And I think people have really begun to realize the importance of being outside. But what was important, I think, is when people have got out there, they've suddenly realized that all the birds are singing. You know, they felt the wind on their face. They felt what, you know, it feels like to walk on the grass with no shoes on, for example. And that whole piece of being in nature for me is the piece that helps people reconnect to themselves, and to the bigger energy out there, and realizing that, you know, we're so small and insignificant in the scheme of the whole planet, but we've got access to all of these resources. And I think that's important to people to realize, because I think a lot of people right now are feeling resourceless. They don't have maybe the income that they were expecting right now because of they've lost their job, or they're furloughed and they're on less pay, or whatever it might be. But actually, we're all very, very resourceful. And actually, your job is to stay resourceful and access those resources within you to achieve everything you want.
That's what the universe is looking for you to make the most of what's inside of you. And that what you have inside of you is so amazing, you don't have a clue. So just start looking, and you'll see it bit by bit start opening up, like a flower blossoming. The beauty of every stage. It's really just a different way of being. Now you'll have to excuse me, my son's just coming down the stairs.
Hello, son.
This is live on Facebook.
But I think it. I was going to say something then. That's opening up. No, it's fine.
Opening up inside us, of growing from inside and seeing. Yeah, I'm trying to get you back to where you were.
That's right. It'll come back. It's fine. It obviously wasn't important if it's gone. It's fine. So I think, you know, this is a whole just massive topic that we all need to, or I'd invite people to have an opportunity to explore. You know, Maxine, you've got loads of resources, I know, on your website. I've got a number on mine, and people don't really know me for the work that I do around money mindset. It's not something. At one point I got known as the money coach, and actually I was quite clear that wasn't what my path was. I knew that wasn't my purpose, so I stopped talking so much about all the money work that I do. But it's a fundamental part of all of the work that I do with my clients, is understanding what their money blueprint is. Because again, we've all got a blueprint around money. Are you a celebrity around money, you know, or are you more of an accumulator who, you know, stacks and hoards it? You know, maybe you're a connector or a disconnector who doesn't stay in relationship with money at all. So really interesting to find out what your archetypes are around money and how that's playing out for you, because again, we've all got different archetypes around that on money and our money story. But for me, it's probably the crux of everything in business, because I think if we don't get that money mindset piece right, we just can't attract the rest of the abundance into our lives, in terms of, you know, the clients and the opportunities that are out there. And I think one thing to say about opportunities, you were talking earlier on, Maxine, about the journey, you know, the Beagle's journey, is that for everyone to be aware that when opportunities show up, they often don't show up in the way we were expecting them to show up. So, you know, we want to get wealth into our life. We want to have opportunities to show up in our life. And sometimes they show up as adversity. And I think that can really trick people as well. And we've actually just got to realize that what is it? You know, is this opportunity, is it taking us towards where we want to go, or is it diverting us? And that's a really key question to think about, because yeah, these opportunities sometimes can look like hardships, but actually when we unpack them, we actually stay with them. If we hadn't explored them, they would be something we could immediately dismiss, and yet it might be the missing key of the puzzle to get you to the next level.
Agreed. Yeah.
So.
There's so much more to look at, and I think that's what I would like to give out to people is, don't just stay in this here, because it's vast. When you start tapping into those resources, they are vast. So open up and just start looking around, and let's drive this to the world to be a better place, you know, that's what I would love to see. I'd like to see us, the global consciousness, shifting everything in the way into a better place. Yeah,
it's shifting the global consciousness to a state of abundance for everyone. It's not, you know, it's you know, the way I'm viewing the world now is very different from the way I viewed it 10 years ago in the corporate world, where it's very much a win-lose mentality up there. And there's still a lot of businesses that operate that way. But I think when we start looking at universal law, the way the horse herds work, everything is designed as a win-win. There is abundance everywhere. There's no lack. There's plenty of resources in the world. So how can we all use that for the betterment of everything? Because like universal law, like I said earlier on, is more life. You know, the universe isn't out there to curtail our life. It's out there to actually help it grow and flourish. But we need to tap into that energy and be really clear on what we want. I'd love to share this just as a last thing. Was one of my coaches once said, it's a bit like going to Argos. You know, when you go to Argos, Maxine, you fill in what you want and you put it on the little slip and you hand it over, and the lady goes in the back, right? And she finds what you want. And eventually, sort of 5 minutes later, it comes out the other side. And one of my coaches, described it as, you know, life is like going to Argos. You know, we put in an order for what we want. The problem is, universal law of gestation says we don't know when it's going to come. So you might have to wait 5 minutes for it. You might have to wait 5 years. You might have to wait 50 years. But you need to keep putting in the same order, because otherwise we put in the order and it doesn't come. And then we write a new order and the universe stops the first order and puts the second order in. And then it puts the third order in, because we've not been clear on what we want. So a lot of this is coming back to clarity. And actually, you know, as a woman, I'd love to give you permission to be clear on what you want, not what you think everyone else thinks that you should have. And stick with that, because, you know, it is having this clarity and this certainty that we've put it out in the RAS, and your RAS needs to keep looking for that. Otherwise, you know, it's looking for something this week and something different next week and something different next week. And that just doesn't give it enough time to come to fruition. So for most people, when things aren't working, it's because we've not stayed steadfast and true to what we really want. And we've got worried, we've got anxious, so we've put in a new order and then it hasn't got delivered.
I'm absolutely with you. And I use the metaphor of seed. We plant a seed. Now, if we keep going back and digging it to have a look to see what's in there, you know, affect its growth. So what we need to do is put the seed in, trust, nourish it with the water, nourish it with some feed and stuff like that. And just know that this seed, and the other thing is, this seed, this little tiny dot, if you've ever looked at that little seed, it's minuscule. You put it in the soil and see what grows from it. I mean, an acorn, let's do that. An acorn, how the hell does that acorn know it's got an oak tree inside of it, you know? But you put it in, it just does, it trusts. There we go. Big element of it is trust, isn't it, Julia? You've got to, there's a trust element that it's going to come, a knowing, because that knowing has a vibrational frequency which will help, that will nourish the seed. I think we've given a lot of information here, and it's been brilliant talking about it, because well, it just has. It's wonderful. It's wonderful talking about it. Yeah.
And I think the more we talk about these things, the more we make it acceptable. We still have, particularly here in the UK, a stigma about talking about money, and it's a little bit of a taboo subject. And you know, it really shouldn't be something, like we say, it's just an energy, but it's just been overhyped, I guess, over time. So you know, perhaps we should make it. We need to be doing a monthly one of these. You know, just chatting about money. You know,
I think
put it out there for people. It is what it is.
And it will give people an opportunity to write in or comment. You know, let's put this out there and get more people to talk, just have a chat. Any questions that you've got, you know, any worries, you know, and I do mean that, worries, because it is a mindset. That in itself is a mindset. Let's just get this out there and play. Yeah, play with it.
Play, because play's a good energy. Play's a fun energy. It's a high vibration energy. And on that word, I'll just say that, ladies, just remember the word funds contains the word fun. So when you have more fun, you get more funds. So Maxine, it's been an absolute joy to speak with you here on my first ever Facebook Live on my page. I know you're going to be sharing it on your page. I hope everyone's enjoyed it. We've been having a lot of fun, and like we said, just put some comments. We'd love to answer them for you. And just know that this is a journey. We're all on the journey. We're all at different places on the journey. You know, if we can help you, then we would absolutely love to.
Yeah. We're here to serve. We're here to serve.
Exactly. We're here to serve. So many thanks, Maxine. And we'll catch you on another one.
Yes.
Okay. Have a great day. Okay. Bye-bye.